sun has always been a source of warmth, comfort, and light. But we're discovering a new and frightening side to our star. A kind of solar rage peaks every 11 years. And sometimes Earth is in the line of fire.
It's 1 billion tons of matter traveling at 1 million miles an hour.
A solar blast could send us scrambling. Without warning, navigation systems could be disrupted, blinding jets in the sky. Phone connections around the world could go dead, leaving us stranded during emergencies. And within minutes of impact, a power blackout could leave millions of people in the dark. In a land of ice and snow, the sun sets life into motion, bringing precious warmth and light to our planet. Without the sun's energy, life would quickly vanish from the surface of the Earth. When the Arctic sun finally sets, it may not rise again for months. A dark chill is cast over the land. Here, the Inuit people have long taken their cues from nature to survive the harsh winter months. They use the northern lights to guide their way in the darkest times of year. They believe the sky forms a dome above their heads, and their ancestors dwell on the other side. The shimmering lights are heavenly torches held by spirits as they play in the skies above. They are beacons to guide the souls of the newly dead. Perhaps there is a wisdom in the stories of these old men. Perhaps our lives are more profoundly tied to the heavens than we know. We understand now, as we voyage into space, that the ribbons of light are caused by the sun. Today, scientists are taking a closer look at our neighborhood star, and its disposition is not altogether sunny. An erratic sphere of superheated gas, the sun is 15 million degrees hot at its core. Powered by nuclear fusion, our raging sun is an ongoing H-bomb, equivalent to megatons going off every second. And yet, it is somehow easy to take for granted.
People go out in the street, they look up and they think, big ball of fire in the sky. It doesn't change, very constant, always there. But when you look at it, you realize it's just a big, massive gas that's forever in turmoil, forever churning up, always spewing out things into the interplanetary medium. It's just a great thing to study. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow with it.
What we want to do is understand this stuff. I mean, we don't just looking at it because it's pretty. We want to understand what's going on, and we want to be able to predict things because it does impact us on Earth.
The sun has the potential of disrupting us in ways that we haven't understood before, just because we are a more wired, connected, interconnected world. A disruption could potentially, in certain places and in certain technologies, be rather serious.
Our star is the only star that directly affects our planet. And yet the sun remains an elusive and distant frontier, beckoning us to take a closer look.
One thing I like about observing the sun is that it's this tangible disk. You can see it, you can feel it. Unlike other stars that present themselves only as a tiny spot, the sun, although it is a star, is up close to us. You can see its personalities, if you will, and you can plot these unlike most other stars.
Larry Webster has been studying our daylight star for 22 years. His work carries on a long scientific tradition of recording the faces of our ever-changing sun. High above the Los Angeles basin, Mount Wilson Solar Observatory is an ideal place for watching the sun. At the 150-foot solar tower, a century-old ritual is about to take place.
Okay, what I'm doing is adjusting the coelostat so that the reflection of the sun comes off the first mirror into the second mirror, and then that redirects it down to the objective lens. And it's actually the lens that forms the image of the sun in the room below.
The ancients called the sun a most pure and lucid body, but Larry Webster sees instead a surface covered with blemishes, sunspots. He begins each fair day by sketching the face of the sun. No two portraits are alike.
To the casual observer on the street, the sun might be just this unchanging hot disk in the sky. But to the astronomer, it's a disk that has a lot of features on it that can be observed. Like today we have these sunspots, and to the solar astronomer, that's a very strong magnetic field right there.
The sun's magnetic fields are spawned by invisible forces beneath its surface. Where the field is most intense, sunspots tend to form. Often several times larger than Earth, these blemishes can last as long as 4 months.
Sunspots are the physical manifestation of magnetic fields on the sun. They're cooler by about 1,000 degrees. And so when you see a sunspot, it's darker against the surrounding photosphere because of that. And then the magnetic fields might come out, loop around, and come back into a adjoining spot next to it.
The sun's magnetic forces are constantly changing. Its field lines twist and knot with the sun's rotation. Over an 11-year cycle, these magnetic lines become more and more tangled, breaking the surface to create sunspots. At solar max, the peak of the sunspot cycle, the sun is coiled and ready to strike.
Professionally, I study the sun to carry on the tradition of solar observing. We don't know everything there is to know about the sun. Any changes in the sun's output can affect the Earth dramatically. And so we continue with the record keeping of observing that's been going on really since the 2nd century BC with the ancient Chinese records.
The grand astronomers of the Chinese imperial court observed the sun with their naked eyes each dusk and dawn. The first to record sunspots, they noted crows, pears, and goose eggs on the face of the sun. These apparitions foretold the death of emperors and other calamities. It was not until Galileo aimed his telescope at the sun that sunspots became an object of scientific study. Galileo confirmed that these blemishes lay on the surface of the sun, where they waxed and waned and were carried around by the sun's rotation. His claims shocked the world. He had suggested that the sun was less than perfect.
And we do these drawings in the exact same way, in many respects, as Galileo did in 1610. So we're carrying on that tradition, but we're adding to the scientific data over all these centuries involving the activity cycle of the sun. Now, sunspots can appear as anything from a single speck on the sun to a large, well-developed area like you see here. In fact, it can be several times the diameter of the Earth. If I put this BB that represents the Earth over that sunspot, you can see the size relationship there.
The sun so dominates our planet in size and power that even the smallest change might be felt on Earth.
The sun's output certainly will affect the Earth. A change of just 1% on the sun, extended change, could change the Earth dramatically in a way that maybe the Earth's climate could not recover from.
The sun is suspected to have shaken our climate in the past. A long cold spell began in the 1600s. Ice skaters raced on Dutch canals that had never been frozen and haven't been since. From 1645 to 1715, astronomers happened to note an absence of sunspots over the course of 6 solar cycles. Was this solar anomaly somehow the cause of a miniature ice age? Today, we know that the sun's brightness varies over its 11-year sunspot cycle. When spots are at a minimum, the sun is dimmer by 1 part in 1,000. At solar max, a brighter sun seems likely to warm our planet. Yet Earth's reaction is so complex, we still don't fully understand it. Ironically, some hope to find the answer written in ice. A Himalayan expedition set out in 1997. Enduring temperatures of 15 below Fahrenheit, 45 people made the trek. Documenting their climb with a video notebook, they lugged 6 tons of equipment, even a refrigerator, to a glacier called Dasupu. There they drilled an ice core at a record-breaking elevation. For one man, this core just might hold the answer to how the sun can influence our climate.
If you go and you succeed in recovering an ice core from the top of the Himalayas, 23,500 feet, in an area where no ice core has ever been recovered, you can be assured that you're going to find something new and exciting about how the Earth's climate works.
For expedition leader and glaciologist Lonnie Thompson, the greatest challenge was transporting these delicate cores, unmelted and unbroken, to a deep freeze in Ohio. Here at the Byrd Polar Research Center, 6,000 cores are kept at a constant minus 40 degrees. The oldest record dates back over 500,000 years. Earth's weather inscribes a detailed history in ice. Precipitation is recorded, as are volcanic eruptions and temperature swings. Thompson has to tease out which clues speak to the sun's impact on Earth's climate.
We're looking at a meter of ice core that comes from Sajama in Bolivia. This is from about 22,000 feet. The ice core represents a period of time of about 400 years ago. As you go down the core, you can see variations in light and dark ice, and these represent going from the wet season, where you have the clear